Have you ever found yourself reflecting on intimacy and self-discovery as you've grown older? Have you wondered about the role of masturbation in later years and how it can affect both your physical and emotional well-being? It's a topic many avoid talking about, but today, we're going to have an honest and open discussion about the raw reality of masturbation in old age, its empowering benefits, its emotional complexities, and everything in between. Now I know for some, this might be an uncomfortable conversation, but I promise you this, what we'll discuss today can offer new perspectives, encouragement, and perhaps a sense of relief that you're not alone. So, stick around until the very end because these insights can help you embrace a healthy, fulfilling relationship with yourself in your golden years. Before we begin, if this sounds like the kind of content you're interested in, make sure to hit that subscribe button for golden aging and turn on notifications so you never miss our tips on living fully at every age. Your support truly helps us reach more people looking to make their golden years healthier and happier. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Let's get started. Point 1. The empowering benefits. When we think about masturbation, especially in older age, it's easy to overlook the profound sense of empowerment that can come with it. Many people shy away from discussing this topic because society has often associated self-pleasure with shame or secrecy. But as we age, masturbation can be more than just a private act. It can become a declaration of independence, a way to reclaim ownership over our own bodies, and a tool for self-fulfillment. For many older adults, especially those who may be widowed, separated, or navigating health challenges with a partner, masturbation offers a way to reconnect with themselves on their own terms. It's an intimate act where you're not reliant on anyone else to experience pleasure and joy. This can be incredibly freeing, especially for those of us who've spent decades caring for others, our children, our spouses, even our grandchildren. Self-pleasure is a moment that is entirely yours. I remember a conversation with my friend, Tom. He's 78, a widower for the last 7 years, and a man who spent most of his life focused on family and career. After his wife passed, Tom felt disconnected from his body, as though his sexual self had disappeared along with her. He said to me, "At first, I thought intimacy was over for me. But then I realized, I still had desires, I still wanted to feel good, and I was still me. I started exploring what felt right, and it reminded me that I was alive." For Tom, masturbation wasn't about replacing intimacy with his wife but about rediscovering his relationship with himself, which had been put on hold for far too long. And that's the beauty of it. Masturbation, in older age, can serve as a powerful reminder that we are still capable of pleasure, still deserving of joy, and still in control of our own bodies. It can bring a sense of comfort and confidence. In a world where so much changes as we age, our physical health, our relationships, and even our independence, this one act can remind us that we still have agency. Physically, masturbation can also help older adults adapt to the natural changes that come with aging. For example, as men, we may face erectile dysfunction or slower responses. Women might experience reduced sensitivity, hormonal shifts, or changes in lubrication. Masturbation offers a safe space to explore these changes and understand how our bodies work now. It allows us to be patient and compassionate with ourselves as we adjust to a new normal. It's not about getting it right, but about embracing what feels good at this stage in life. Beyond the physical, masturbation can be emotionally empowering. For older adults who feel isolated, whether by the loss of a partner, social barriers, or simply the perception that intimacy isn't for them anymore, self-pleasure can be a lifeline. It's an act that reinforces that you matter, that your pleasure matters, and that you can still cultivate a relationship with yourself, no matter your age. Let's not forget the role masturbation plays in maintaining a healthy, positive outlook. When you experience pleasure, even alone, your body releases endorphins, natural chemicals that boost mood, reduce stress, and create feelings of calm and happiness. In fact, Tom told me that he began sleeping better and feeling less anxious once he started prioritizing his own well-being through masturbation. It's like I found a way to turn off the noise in my head, he said. For many of us, that quiet peace is something we could all use more of. The empowerment doesn't stop there. Exploring self-pleasure also builds confidence. It teaches you to listen to your body, to understand what brings you joy, and to communicate that with a partner if you're in a relationship. This confidence can transform intimacy later in life, making it richer and more connected. We often hear people say that aging means giving up certain parts of ourselves, but I don't believe that's true. Masturbation allows us to reclaim our identity, embrace our bodies with all their changes, and continue living fully and joyfully. It's a practice of self-care, self-love, and personal freedom. So if you've ever felt like this topic doesn't apply to you or felt hesitant to explore this part of yourself, I want to encourage you to see masturbation as more than just a physical act. It's about empowerment, healing, and connecting to yourself in ways that honor your desires and your worth. You are never too old to feel good, to experience pleasure, or to celebrate who you are. Point 2. Health benefits you might not realize. When we think about masturbation, we often limit the discussion to pleasure and intimacy. But the reality is that it offers a host of health benefits that many people don't realize, especially as we grow older. This natural act isn't just about satisfying a physical urge. It's a powerful tool that can improve your overall well-being, both physically and emotionally. For older adults, it can serve as a healthy and meaningful way to stay connected to their bodies, reduce stress, and manage some of the natural changes that come with aging. Let's start with one of the most significant benefits: stress relief. As we age, stress doesn't magically disappear. If anything, it can build up even more. Whether it's worrying about health, finances, or feeling lonely, many older adults carry a mental weight that can impact their daily lives. Masturbation triggers the release of endorphins, also known as feel-good chemicals. These are the same natural compounds that give you that calm, pleasant feeling after a brisk walk or a good laugh. Endorphins help lower cortisol, the stress hormone, and this can provide a sense of relaxation, comfort, and peace that many of us desperately need. A little self-care can go a long way to improve mood and help us better handle life's challenges. Another benefit is that masturbation promotes better sleep. Many older adults struggle with insomnia or restless nights, often due to physical discomfort or racing thoughts. Here's the science: the relaxation that comes after orgasm, whether it's through self-pleasure or intimacy with a partner, releases a hormone called prolactin. Prolactin is directly linked to sleepiness and relaxation. It's no wonder that so many people find it easier to drift off into a peaceful sleep after a moment of self-pleasure. This simple, natural remedy can be far more effective and safer than relying on sleeping pills. For men, masturbation can have a notable impact on prostate health. Studies have shown that regular ejaculation can help flush out the prostate, clearing out fluids and reducing the risk of inflammation or even prostate cancer. A friend of mine, Bill, who's in his early 80s, once shared how his doctor had encouraged him to stay active in this way to help his prostate stay healthy. He joked, "Who knew my doctor would be giving me permission to do something I enjoyed anyway?" But the truth is, this isn't just advice for younger men. It's a practical way to support prostate health at any age. Masturbation also helps with blood circulation. As we age, blood flow can slow down, which can lead to issues like stiffness in joints or a feeling of general fatigue. Orgasm is like a mini workout for your circulatory system. It increases heart rate, improves blood flow, and stimulates the release of oxygen and nutrients throughout your body. While it's not a substitute for regular physical activity, it can provide similar short-term benefits, especially for those who struggle to maintain mobility or stay active due to age or health conditions. For women, masturbation is equally beneficial for maintaining vaginal health. As estrogen levels drop during menopause and postmenopause, some women experience dryness, discomfort, or decreased sensitivity. Masturbation, especially when paired with lubrication, helps promote blood flow to the pelvic area, improving elasticity and reducing discomfort. Regular stimulation can keep vaginal tissues healthy, which can make intimacy with a partner more enjoyable and less painful as well. In addition to the physical benefits, masturbation can also be an important part of managing pain. For those dealing with chronic pain, such as arthritis, back pain, or even migraines, masturbation can provide temporary relief. The endorphins released during orgasm are natural painkillers that work to reduce discomfort and improve overall feelings of well-being. This relief, even if it's short-lived, can make a big difference for those of us who deal with aches and pains on a daily basis. Another surprising benefit is its role in improving pelvic floor health. For both men and women, the muscles in the pelvic area can weaken over time, especially after childbirth, surgeries, or years of physical inactivity. The contractions during orgasm are like exercises for these muscles, strengthening them naturally. Strong pelvic floor muscles can help with bladder control, reduce the risk of incontinence, and even improve sexual function as we age. Lastly, let's talk about mental health. Masturbation is a way to release tension, calm the mind, and boost feelings of self-confidence. It reminds us that we are still capable of experiencing pleasure, even as we age. When we feel good physically, it often translates to improved mental clarity and a more positive outlook on life. So, when you think about masturbation, I hope you see it for what it truly is, an act of self-care that nurtures both the body and the mind. It's not just about intimacy or physical pleasure, it's about maintaining your health, reducing stress, and embracing a natural part of being human. Point 3. Emotional challenges and breaking stigmas. When it comes to masturbation, particularly in older age, the emotional challenges can often outweigh the physical ones. Many of us grew up in an era where this topic was shrouded in shame, secrecy, and even moral condemnation. I know firsthand how difficult it can be to shake off those deeply ingrained societal beliefs, even now when we are well into our golden years. But here's the truth. It's time we break those stigmas and embrace the idea that masturbation is natural, healthy, and even necessary for emotional well-being. Let's talk about guilt and shame. Growing up, many of us were taught that self-pleasure was something to be embarrassed about, something sinful, or wrong. For decades, people carried these ideas with them, often associating masturbation with secrecy or moral failure. Even now, as older adults, that lingering sense of guilt can creep in when we consider taking time for ourselves in this way. I remember a friend of mine, George, who confessed, "I still hear my mother's voice in my head telling me to stop that nonsense." He laughed when he said it, but beneath the humor was a very real struggle, a struggle to accept that his pleasure was not something to hide or feel ashamed about. It's important to recognize where these feelings come from and challenge them. We are no longer children being scolded, and we certainly aren't living in a time where these outdated stigmas should dictate how we live our lives. Instead, we can view masturbation as a form of self-care, a way to reconnect with our bodies, and a chance to nurture ourselves emotionally and physically. It's not dirty, it's human. And at this stage of life, haven't we earned the right to let go of shame and embrace what makes us feel good? Another challenge we face as older adults is loneliness and the emotional isolation that often comes with aging. Whether we've lost a spouse, our children are busy with their own lives, or we simply live alone, it's easy to feel disconnected. That sense of loneliness can make us believe that intimacy, whether with a partner or with ourselves, is a thing of the past. But masturbation can actually be a powerful antidote to emotional isolation. It reminds us that pleasure, connection, and intimacy are still available to us, even if they look different than they did years ago. For those of us who have lost partners, the emotional challenge can be even more complex. There's often a deep sense of grief and loyalty to navigate. I've spoken with widows and widowers who feel like self-pleasure is somehow a betrayal of their late partner. One woman I know, Margaret, shared her story with me. "I didn't even want to think about it for years. I felt like I was dishonoring his memory," she said. "But then I realized that taking care of myself, feeling alive in my own body, didn't mean I loved him any less. It just meant that I was still here, and I still mattered." Margaret's words stuck with me because they highlight an essential truth. Masturbation isn't about replacing anyone or forgetting the past. It's about honoring yourself in the present. This brings us to another stigma: ageism. Society has long perpetuated the myth that intimacy, sexuality, and pleasure are reserved for the young. People look at older adults and assume we no longer have sexual desires or needs. Nothing could be further from the truth. Just because our bodies change as we age doesn't mean our capacity for pleasure or intimacy disappears. Masturbation, for many, becomes a quiet act of rebellion against this stigma. It's a way of saying, I'm still here. I'm still human. And I still deserve to feel joy. Overcoming these emotional hurdles takes time, but it starts with small steps. First, allow yourself permission to let go of guilt and embrace the idea that self-pleasure is a natural part of being alive. Second, recognize that your body is worthy of love, care, and attention, no matter your age. And third, challenge societal norms that try to tell you otherwise. We've spent a lifetime being judged, haven't we? It's time we release ourselves from that pressure. Talking about this topic openly, like we're doing today, is also an important step in breaking these stigmas. By sharing our experiences, we realize that we're not alone. There are millions of older adults out there grappling with the same questions, the same struggles, and the same feelings. But there's also immense freedom in discovering that masturbation is not just acceptable, it's something to celebrate as part of our overall health and happiness. If you're still with me and finding this conversation helpful, comment the number 3 below. It means a lot to know we're walking this journey together. Remember, the emotional challenges tied to masturbation, guilt, shame, and stigma, are not permanent. You have the power to change the way you think about intimacy, pleasure, and self-care. It starts with kindness toward yourself and the realization that your needs matter just as much as they did when you were younger. By facing these challenges head-on, we reclaim something that society too often tries to take away from us: our right to pleasure, our right to connection, and our right to live fully at every stage of life. Point 4. Adapting to physical changes. As we age, one of the greatest challenges we face in our intimate lives is adapting to the physical changes that come with time. These changes can feel frustrating, sometimes even disheartening, but here's the truth. With a little patience, understanding, and creativity, intimacy can become even more meaningful and fulfilling. Let me tell you, getting older doesn't mean that pleasure, connection, or sexual satisfaction disappear. They just take on new forms. For many men, physical changes like erectile dysfunction are a reality. I've known plenty of friends who struggled with this and felt like it was the end of their intimate lives. It can be embarrassing to talk about, and for many men, it feels like a blow to their sense of masculinity. My friend Frank told me once, "I felt like I was letting my wife down, like I wasn't the man I used to be." But here's the important part: intimacy isn't just about performance. There are so many ways to adapt, reconnect, and rediscover pleasure that don't revolve around what we thought intimacy had to look like. For Frank, that realization changed everything. He and his wife learned to focus on foreplay, physical touch, and deeper emotional connection. Oral intimacy and other forms of touch, for example, can become essential tools for rediscovering pleasure when some aspects of physical intimacy feel different. These forms of closeness don't require performance pressure, and they allow couples to focus on mutual satisfaction in a relaxed, meaningful way. It's a chance to slow down, explore what feels good now, and celebrate the bond you've spent years nurturing. This stage of life gives you an opportunity to truly enjoy the journey, rather than worrying about reaching a specific destination. For women, physical changes can include vaginal dryness or reduced sensitivity due to menopause. These changes are completely natural, but they can cause discomfort and make intimacy feel less enjoyable. Here's where communication and adaptation come in. Using lubricants, for example, can make a world of difference, turning what could be a challenge into an opportunity to embrace solutions together. A close friend of mine once shared how she and her husband treated intimacy like an adventure, trying different methods, being open, and laughing through the awkward moments. "We had to learn our bodies all over again," she said, "but it brought us closer than ever." Another common physical change is reduced stamina or energy levels. Let's face it, we're not as spry as we used to be. Climbing a flight of stairs might leave us winded, let alone an evening of passionate intimacy. But rather than giving up, we can approach intimacy with gentleness and realism. Shorter, more frequent moments of closeness can replace the long, drawn-out experiences of our youth. Afternoon naps, quiet evenings, or relaxed mornings can provide the perfect time to connect when energy is higher. It's about adapting to our natural rhythms and being kind to ourselves. Mobility and joint issues are another reality of aging. For some of us, conditions like arthritis or back pain can make certain positions uncomfortable. Here's where creativity and a good sense of humor come in handy. Intimacy doesn't have to look the way it did 20 or 30 years ago. Try using pillows for support, explore different positions that reduce pressure on your joints, or embrace the comfort of lying side by side. A friend of mine joked, "Sometimes it feels like a game of Twister, but you figure it out." And he's right. You'll find what works for you with a little trial and error. The key to adapting to these physical changes is open communication and teamwork. Talk to your partner about what feels good and what doesn't. Discuss your concerns and fears. I've found that honesty and vulnerability often open doors to new levels of connection. You'll realize you're not alone in these changes. You're facing them together as a couple. For couples who struggle to start these conversations, I often say this: intimacy is more than just physical. It's about sharing yourself, being present, and building trust. When you work as a team, the challenges become a shared journey, not a solitary burden. Lastly, adapting to physical changes can help you appreciate other forms of intimacy. Holding hands, cuddling, sharing a quiet moment, or simply looking into each other's eyes. These small gestures remind us that intimacy isn't defined by physical acts alone. Sometimes, it's the quiet moments of connection that matter most, especially when words are left unspoken. So here's my message to you: don't let physical changes rob you of the joy of intimacy. Adapt, explore, and embrace this stage of life with an open heart. There's no right way to experience pleasure, only what feels right for you. If you're still with me and finding this helpful, comment 3 below. I'd love to know if this resonates with you and if you're feeling inspired to keep the spark alive in your own way. Remember, intimacy doesn't fade with age, it evolves. It becomes richer, deeper, and more meaningful when we approach it with patience, creativity, and love. You're still capable of joy, connection, and pleasure, no matter how your body changes. Point 5. Improving intimacy with a partner. One of the most beautiful truths about relationships is that intimacy can evolve and deepen as we grow older. But let's be honest, keeping that spark alive isn't always easy. Over time, the demands of life, physical changes, and emotional challenges can make intimacy feel distant, or even like an afterthought. However, improving intimacy with your partner in later years is not only possible, but it can also be one of the most rewarding and fulfilling parts of a relationship. The first step to improving intimacy is acknowledging the changes and embracing where you and your partner are today. I've known couples who struggle because they try to compare their current relationship to the way things were 20, 30, or 40 years ago. The truth is, we're not the same people we were back then, and that's not a bad thing. I remember a conversation I had with a buddy of mine named Jim. He told me, "I kept looking back, trying to recapture the energy of our younger years, but it just frustrated us both. Once we accepted that intimacy could be slower, softer, and more meaningful now, it changed everything." Jim's story stuck with me because it's so relatable. Improving intimacy begins with open communication. It's easy to assume that we already know everything about our partner after so many years together. But the reality is, our needs, desires, and comfort levels change with age. Sit down and have a gentle, honest conversation with your partner about what intimacy means to you both now. Ask questions like, "What makes you feel close to me?" Or, "How can we connect more deeply?" You might be surprised at what you learn. Sometimes, just sharing your thoughts and feelings about intimacy can create a sense of closeness and trust all on its own. Another way to improve intimacy is to focus on emotional connection. Intimacy isn't just about physical touch, it's about feeling seen, heard, and loved. Simple gestures like holding hands, giving your partner a meaningful compliment, or sharing a long hug can help rebuild emotional bonds that may have weakened over the years. I once heard a woman say, "My husband doesn't need to sweep me off my feet like he did when we were young. Now, it's the little things, like sitting beside me on the couch or asking about my day, that make me feel loved." Those small moments add up to something powerful. Of course, physical intimacy is a crucial part of the equation, and sometimes it requires creativity and patience. As we age, things like stamina, flexibility, and desire can change, but that doesn't mean physical closeness has to disappear. If traditional approaches to intimacy feel challenging, explore new ways to connect. For example, slow dancing together in the living room can be a tender, intimate moment that doesn't require a thing beyond your presence. Or try introducing gentle massages into your routine. Massages are great for physical relaxation, and they provide an opportunity for touch and closeness without pressure. For some couples, exploring new forms of intimacy can be a game changer. As we age, our bodies may require a little extra attention, and there's no shame in that. Introducing oral play, for example, can help couples rediscover pleasure in ways that are comfortable, satisfying, and deeply intimate. It's about being open to what works for you and your partner now. A close friend of mine shared that when he and his wife began focusing more on foreplay and oral intimacy, it rekindled a sense of excitement and connection they hadn't felt in years. He said, "It wasn't about what we couldn't do anymore. It was about finding new ways to enjoy each other." Rekindling romance is another wonderful way to improve intimacy. Sometimes, as we age, the routines of life take over, and we forget to make time for the things that once brought us joy as a couple. Plan a special date night, even if it's just dinner at home with a candlelit table. Write your partner a love note or surprise them with a small gesture, like flowers or their favorite treat. These romantic moments remind you both that the love and passion are still there, waiting to be rediscovered. Lastly, don't forget that improving intimacy takes patience and compassion, both for your partner and for yourself. Sometimes, we can be our own worst critics, worrying about how we look, how we've changed, or what we can no longer do. Let me tell you something I've learned. Your partner loves you for who you are, not just for how you were years ago. Give yourself permission to embrace this stage of life and celebrate the love you've shared. Intimacy in later years isn't about perfection, it's about presence, connection, and shared joy. So, if you're looking to improve intimacy with your partner, remember this: communicate openly, explore new ways to connect, focus on emotional closeness, and embrace the changes together. There's no right way to experience intimacy. It's about what feels good and meaningful for the two of you. If you're still with me and enjoying this, comment 3 below so I know you're watching and finding value in this discussion. Improving intimacy in later years is a journey, but it's one worth taking. With a little effort, a lot of love, and a willingness to adapt, you can rediscover a connection that's deeper and more meaningful than ever before. To wrap this up, the raw reality of masturbation in old age is one of empowerment, self-discovery, and overcoming societal taboos. It's a natural part of life, something that can bring health benefits, relieve stress, and even improve intimacy with yourself or a partner. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this video, it's that you're not alone in this journey. Pleasure and connection don't have an expiration date, and there's no shame in embracing what makes you feel good. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support means the world to us, and we look forward to bringing you more content that inspires growth, joy, and purpose. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.